Today we're building one of these and one of those, and how about that? All right, let's get to it. What's up, guys? My name's Tim. This is New Craft Workshop. If you've been here before, welcome back. We absolutely are so thankful for all of the support that you guys have given us since this channel started. If this is your first time here, welcome in. Glad you finally decided to check out this channel because it's pretty fun here. We do some really awesome beginner stuff here. So
finally, about damn time.
Welcome in. While you're here, real quick, click that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. I won't say anything about that again. I trust that you're going to just go ahead and do that for me. So 2 quick things and we're going to start to build. Number 1, here's last week's winner. Sending them a nice little shop gift. On the beginners series, I try to send out something every time we post one of these videos. All I need you to do is meet some certain quotas as far as likes, subscribers, comments, etc. And this week, I'll tell you how many we need at the end of the video. Teaser, yes, I want you to stay around till the end of the video, and we'll talk about what we need to do to get a giveaway given out next time. Real quick, last thing, I promise, then we're going to start building. I have a brand new series coming. I asked you guys on a poll if you wanted it. Overwhelmingly, you said yes, so we're doing it. This series posts every other Friday. Starting on August 30th, I've got a new series for intermediate woodworkers that is going to post on the Fridays in between this series. So we will have intermediate woodworking series posting every other Friday as well on the weeks between this one. That is going to be a little bit more advanced as far as the projects we build, the skill sets required, and we are going to open up this entire shop for use. We're going to use the bandsaw. We're going to use the router table, the planer, the sander. We're going to use the table saw, probably throw a dado stack on there every once in a while. We're going to step it up a little bit because you guys asked if we could do that. So yeah, what else am I here for but to make you guys on that end happy? So that's enough talk. I'm already hot. Let's get to building. First up is this outdoor napkin holder. This is made from standard 1-inch thick pine from the big box stores, a couple pieces of dowel rod, and a couple little caps that we picked up at Hobby Lobby. This is perfect for outdoor get-togethers and the barbecues on the patio. This is going to keep your napkins from blowing away with a little DIY style. So let's get to project 1. All right, let's get to build number 1. We're going to make this outdoor napkin holder. This was part of the video where I asked you guys to pick your 3 favorites from 5 choices, and we actually built those 3 on last episode. So the 2 that we didn't build because they didn't make the top 5, they're actually going to get rolled into today's video. So first thing we're going to make is this napkin holder. Here's your cut list. Here's what you're going to need. You are going to need 2 pieces of wooden dowel, 3/8 of an inch diameter. I'm using these 2 little, hopefully you can see them on this camera over here. I'm using these 2 little wooden half balls. Basically, they're going to just get glued on the top and act as a cap. You'll see as this build goes. You're going to need a 1x4 cut to 9 inches, and you are going to need a 1x8 cut to 9 inches. We're going to need 2 bits for this. I'm using Forstner bits. As always, use paddle bits, use a drill bit. Either of those will work. I got a 3/8 inch bit and a 5/8 inch bit. We're only going to need this stuff right here, our drill, hammer. I'm going to use a brad nailer, but again, I always cheat on this channel. Just if you people are new here, then yeah, I always cheat. Hammer, glue, drill. That's all we're going to need. So this is going to be an outdoor project, so as always, we're going to use Titebond 3. Titebond 3 for you new beginners. There is a difference between 1, 2, and 3. 1 is indoor use, 2 is water resistant, 3 is completely waterproof. There's also a difference, I'll put a little thing right here. There's also a difference in setup time and workability time, how long you have to work with this stuff before it actually sets and you're done. So look at that little chart, pause this if you want to, and you can kind of read that. But if we're building this for outdoor use, we definitely want to use Titebond 3. So let me grab my drill. And a rubber mallet. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take this particular board. Now, this is the one that we cut to 9 inches. This is the 1x8. We are going to come in. If you're new to my channel, you'll realize that I'm constantly losing pins as well. So we're going to come in 1 inch from each end, and we're going to put a mark. And we're going to find the center of this. Now, this is 7 1/4. So quickly, anyone?
Seriously, does anyone know?
3 5/8. Good. So we're going to come down here, and we're going to put a mark at 3 5/8. That is our intersection for our hole that we're going to drill. Basically, this is what you should have. 1 mark here, 1 mark here. Now, these dowels are 3/8 diameter. We want the dowels in our base glued in place. We do not want them to move. 3/8 inch bit for the base. And I grabbed my impact. Kind of hard to use a Forstner bit on my impact. So I will tell you this, the key right here on this particular hole is going to be as straight as we can get it. If our hole is crooked, our dowel is going to be crooked, and nobody likes a crooked dowel. So
That's what she said.
Show you a little trick. If you'll take this, put this here, it gives you somewhat of an idea whether you're perfectly straight up and down or not. We're going to drill a hole. It doesn't have to be super deep. Maybe 1/2 inch would be sufficient, but we're going to drill a hole in this board right here. And we're going to spin this around, and we're going to do the same thing on the other end. Now we're just going to stick this in here and check. That's pretty straight. I'm happy with that. So we're going to do the same thing in this board. This board, though, we are going to drill our 5/8 inch hole because this board is actually going to need to lift up and down to be able to put new napkins in, slide back down on its own to hold the napkins in place. And newbies to my channel, I'm in Houston. Get used to this because every freaking episode. All right, we need to do the same thing here. We're going to come in 1 inch from the end on either end. And we're going to find the center of this board. Now, this hole is going to have to go all the way through this material. I've told you guys this a million times if you've been on my channel, but if you're new, I'll tell you again. When we're drilling through any kind of bit that's a paddle bit, spade bit, whatever you might call it, a Forstner bit, if you don't have something behind this to push down on and put a little pressure when you're drilling, you're going to get blowout. The fibers of the wood on the back are going to expand. They're going to fray. Then you're going to have to clean it up. And even after you sand it, it's never going to look right. So let me grab a scrap piece of wood. I'll be right back.
8 hours later.
I just grabbed a scrap piece of plywood. All we're going to do is the same exact thing. We want to go as straight as we possibly can, but this particular hole is going to need to go all the way through this board. Yeah, I dropped that square. And if you've never used a paddle bit or a spade bit before, they're messy. So I'll show you the basic premise of how this is going to work. This is going to just slide on here like so, and this is going to hold our napkins down. Now, before anybody says that's pretty plain and ugly, yeah, somebody mentioned it in my comments. I tend to say this a little more, I guess, than I thought I did. Make it your own. This is a blueprint for a design that you need to make your own design. So that's it. This is very simple, I know. Build it, customize it, and then send me pictures to my Instagram, Facebook, wherever. Email them to me on my website. All of those links are in the description. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the end of this dowel, and we're just going to spin this into place. And we're going to clean up. And for those of you just now getting into woodworking, just know that wood glue is extremely strong when it sets. The wood itself is more likely to fail than the glue joint. It's strong. There's no need to do anything else but glue this in place and leave it. Now, this is going to slip on top of these, and I'm actually going to place this here. Same thing on this. These are the half balls, and you can pick these up like at Hobby Lobby or Michael's. This particular thing right here, I'm simply going to put a dab of glue right in the middle of this thing, and I'm just going to set this right on top. Now, all this is going to do is keep this particular board from lifting off when we replace our napkins. It's not necessary. It's just going to give a little bit more of a decorative element to this. And guys, I think honestly, we just set the record for fastest build. This is the concept. I had some napkins. Here they are. And yeah, I pulled these from my wife's fall stash because it's getting fall time. But that's kind of the concept, right? This is going to hold your napkins in place, keep them from blowing away on the picnic table. There's tons of possibilities for this thing here, guys. Stain it, paint it, make it a little different shape, round over your edges. If you have a router, put you a chamfer or an OG around all of this stuff. Make it really decorative. This thing can be dressed up and made really nice looking. I am simply going to stain this and seal it once this dries up and throw it out on the patio, and we'll use it when we barbecue and have family over. So that's it for project one. I told you this one is going to be the most basic, easy one that we build. Now, I'm calling it a night. I'll pick this up tomorrow. So when you see me tomorrow, I'll probably be in a different shirt for the next two builds, and I'll probably be clean shaven, but through the magic of editing, I'll be right back. Next up is this two-tiered storage crate for your fruits and veggies. This is going to be perfect in a kitchen or in your pantry. This is going to hold all of your fruits, vegetables, whatever else you decide to put in this thing. We did a design very similar to this a couple weeks ago when we built a crate. We're going to carry that same design element over into this unit, stack two on top, and this project is going to be finished. So let's get to it. All right, I'm back. Changed my shirt, got some rest, did not shave. Let's get after project two. You're going to need, here's your cut list. I know you guys like that, and I'm kind of glad that I started doing that because it keeps you from sending me comments down below saying, hey, where's our cut list? Well, it's right here. So here we go. 1x4s. You're going to need two of those at 15 inches. 1x6. You're going to need four of these at 12 inches. And we're going back to using some slats. We need 18 slats at 18 inches long. If you've watched any of my previous beginners build videos, we made a crate a couple episodes ago where we used slats. These are 18 inches. A yardstick in the paint department is 36 inches. It is basically this exact dimension. You can get two of those out of one yardstick. You can also buy slats, or if you have a table saw, do like I do, rip your own slats down out of scrap pieces of 2x4 that I have laying around. So there's our cut list. Here's what we're going to need to put this thing together. Here's our tool list. We are going to need some wood glue. We are going to need our hammer and nails / brad nailer for those of us who cheat like I do. And that is it. So let's get this assembly started. First thing we need to do is our end pieces that are going to make up each one of these baskets. We're going to have our little slats here to hold our fruits and veggies, whatever. We need to take these over to the saw, and we need to put a bevel on either end. We're going to do 30 degrees from the tip. So if you do not have a miter saw, like we've talked about in previous episodes, you should have a miter box or at least a hand saw. It's not going to be as easy for you, but this is still no big deal. All you need to do is mark out your 30-degree measurements, cut this by hand, take your time. This does not have to be perfect. This is going to be extremely rustic when we're finished with it anyway. So if you got 28 degrees on one end and 31 on the other, who cares? Cut your angles, but we're going to cheat like we always do.
He's a phony! Lousy cheater!
Head over to the miter saw. Come on. All right, we got all of our pieces cut. We're going to build this upside down because this is going to be a whole lot easier than trying to build it this way. Plus, since we need slats on the bottom, I don't know about you, but I couldn't build it the other way. This is going to go together really quickly, super easy. We are going to simply start by putting just a small amount of wood glue on either end. And we're going to start by putting one of our slats, and hopefully on this other camera, you guys can see it over here. I'm just going to line it up right at the end of this, at the end of that angled cut, and pop a couple breads in here. Line up this other end and repeat that process for the bottom two slats. We're going to want 3 along the bottom. I think we've talked about this before. Real quick before I start popping these brads in here. If you are using a brad nailer, your brads are going to tend to, if they shoot out to one side, they're always going to go this way on the gun because of the way the brads are designed. So when you're nailing into, for example, this board right here, you don't ever want to nail with your nail gun running the same direction as your material you're running into, because if it does shoot out, it's going to shoot out and expose itself. If you'll turn your nail gun at a 90-degree angle to this board, if it does happen to roll to one side, at least it's going to stay in that material. Plus, you don't want to take a chance of having your fingers too terribly close to this when you're popping these in anyway. And repeat that 2 more times for these bottom 2 slats. And now we're going to run 3 down either side. I'm going to start with the first one so that I can put it flush up against my workbench. That way I know it is all the way to the top of this. The second one we will put towards the bottom, and then we'll just kind of eyeball this third one and space it in between. So rinse and repeat 6 more times on this particular box. One more box, same exact way. All right, at this point, this is what we have. We have our 2 baskets, and we are ready to get this thing assembled. We are going to take our side pieces. We are going to glue and nail each one of these. Let me flip this around so you can see this. Flush to the bottom of this particular piece right here. We're going to tack this in place with probably 4 brads, some wood glue. That's going to be more than enough to hold this in place. Once that is done, we are going to take our second basket, line it up with the top of this, and that's going to be the end of this build. Right now, some wood glue on here, and tack this in place with some brads. Okay, now we are going to take this second basket. It's going to go in here, and we are going to line it up with the top of this right here. Same thing. That's it. Project 2, simple vegetable or fruit storage. Again, make it your own, right? I know I tell you guys that all the time. Seriously, blueprint, change this up, design it yourself, bigger, smaller, shorter, taller, paint it, stain it, I don't care. Make it your own. I want to give you guys a blueprint just to show you what you can do as a beginner out in your shop. As always, if you make any of these things, send them to me on my social media, Facebook, TikTok. I'm not on X, but Instagram for sure, or you can email them to me through the website. So project 2, that's our wrap. We're going to get to project 3. And finally is this decorative towel rack. This is made from standard 1x material and a couple robe hooks. As you can see, I have dressed ours up a little bit by putting an arch at the top and the bottom. I've chamfered all my edges, and we painted this thing to match the decor in our bathroom. This is a simple build, but it is going to serve a very functional purpose, and hopefully you guys will enjoy yours in your bathroom as much as we enjoy ours in ours. So that's it. Let's get to project 3. Okay, so I mentioned earlier in the video that I gave you that option a couple weeks ago to pick 3 out of 5 projects, and the 2 that didn't win were going to be in today's video. Little change of plans. We built one already, which was the napkin holder, but this next project is going to be something that was requested, and I think it's going to be very useful. So this is this really nice towel rack. It's going to hold a couple towels and both of your robes. So here's your cut list. We are going to need a 1x12. This is 20 inches long. We're going to need 2 1x6s. These are 11 inches long each. And we're going to need 2 1x3s. These are also 11 inches a piece. Yeah, cut list is always right, even if I kind of jumble things when I'm talking to you guys. So that's what we're going to need for your cut list. All right, here's the items we're going to need for this build. We're going to need our drill. So we're going to need our hammer / brad nailer. We're going to need 1 1/4 long brads, and we are going to need a couple of hooks, robe hooks, whatever you want. This is just what I had here. You don't like this style, do your own. What do we say here always, right? So that's it. All right, first things first is we're going to take our 1x12 and we are going to mark this. Basically, our shelves are going to go here and here. Hopefully you can see this on this camera over here. Our robe hooks are going at the bottom. This is how this is going to look. Basically, just like this. So we are going to come down from the top of this and we're going to make a mark at 6 inches and we are going to make a mark at 14 inches. And I am actually going to say, yeah, this is the better side of this board. This is going to be my top. When we put a towel up here, it's actually going to cover up these knots. So that'll work out nice. So we're just going to come down and we're going to put a mark at 6 and we're going to put a mark at 14. Let's do both sides so that we make sure that we are lined up nice and level with these boards. You don't want crooked boards. No one wants crooked boards. This is going to go right here. Now, our marks are where the top of our shelves should line up. Not the bottom, because then it's going to throw our spacing off too much. The top of our shelves are going right there on 6 and 14. Before we put these shelves on, though, I want to go ahead and install these lips that are going on the front. I am simply going to tack these in place with a few brads. There's no need for glue right here. This is literally just holding a rolled up towel in place, kind of keeping it from rolling off the front of this. So I'm just going to pop 3 or 4 brads in here. I think 3 will be more than enough. And that's kind of each of our shelves here. Okay, now in order to make sure that we line this up properly and then flip this around and get our brads through here and directly into the middle of this board, we really want to turn this board over and mark the other side as well at 6 and 14. And remember, that 6 and that 14 are representing the top of the shelf. So our shelf is actually going to mount below these marks. So this is our line. Let me get my straight edge. So this is our 6 and 14 mark. We are going to want to drive our nails in below that mark so that we go into the center of this board. I am going to use some clamps to hold it still while we flip this over. If you're new to woodworking, you can never have enough clamps. Buy yourself some clamps. I'm going to go grab some clamps and then I'm going to clamp this up. All right. So I am simply going to put this on my marks and I am going to clamp this in place. Let me turn it this way so you guys can see. Again, my pin mark is representing the top of this shelf. So just make sure that you mark that the top. Tighten this down. That'll hold this in place. Now we're going to spin this around and put some brads in here. So I'm sure some of you noticed that I didn't put any glue there. I tend to do a lot of these builds, bare bones, basic builds. And then afterwards, before I stain them, paint them, stage them for you guys to see, I'll probably take this thing back apart and I'll do some things to make it a little more decorative because this is actually going in our home. I'll probably round over or chamfer all of the edges on this thing. I just don't show you guys that here on the beginners channel because we are doing beginners builds. So I am going to simply tack this in place. Now I'm using 3 brads to hold this in place. If you're building this, you need to glue it and you need to put 4 or 5 along there. That'll hold it in place until the glue sets up. This is kind of the basic premise of what this is going to look like. Let's get this second shelf installed and then we're going to work on those hooks on the bottom, and then this project is also done. Pretty simple builds this week. All 3 of these have been really quick and really simple. Tack this in place. And I hope you can see on this camera over here what I mean by we're going below this line because this is where our material is mounted, right in this area. So we just want to make sure we're going below that line. That's going to give us as much of that brad right into the center of that board as we can get. Pop another one in there. All right, so this is where we are at so far. Okay, all that's left now is going to be to get these hooks on, and I'm just kind of coming in about 1 inch from the end, putting this in place. Same thing over here, about 1 inch from the end, marking my holes, and then we're going to drive some screws in, and project 3 is wrapped up. And if anyone watching north of Houston can possibly send me some freaking cold weather or cool weather, man, I sure would appreciate it.
It's so damn hot.
And right here, you're about to see, I'm going to drive this in. I'm not even going to pre-drill. These are tiny little screws. This is pretty soft pine. There is no reason to pre-drill this. I'm going to simply put 1 screw in, make sure that this is as straight as I can get it. Come to the opposing corner, drive this screw in, and then I can finish up the other 2. And I'm sure you can see this wobbling around. Again, I'm going to take this apart, dress it up. I want to do a round over on all of this, kind of smooth it out a little bit, and then I'm going to sand it and stain it. And I don't show all of those steps here because this is 3 projects with 3 tools or less. This could be a finished project if you are a beginner woodworker. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this. Patch these holes up, paint this thing, take you some sandpaper by hand and just kind of smooth off all of these sharp edges. This is going to look great on your wall. I just want to dress it up a little bit more because I have access to the tools that I need to do that. So beginners, 3 tools. That's why we're doing it this way today. That's it. Build 3 in the books. Very, very plain version of what I know you guys can customize and build for yourself. When you do, send me pictures. I ask you all the time, but please send them to me. Social media, Instagram, Facebook, and you can also email them to me through the website. I would love to see your take on my ideas. That's the whole purpose of this entire series, is to give beginners an idea and then let's see what they do with it. So 2 more quick things. 1, if I don't hear from our winner from last week, from last week that I picked, if I don't hear from her by Sunday, I'll throw somebody else's name out there and I'll work with her a little bit if she follows up eventually. So this is what I need from you to give away something on next episode.
You can do it!
Likes, subscribers, comments. We can do this. We actually hit this last episode. We kind of actually blew a couple of these out of the water. So all I'm asking for is some simple stuff. If you are new to my channel, click that subscribe button, join us. And don't forget, August 30th, we are rolling out the intermediate series. If you're not an intermediate woodworker, it doesn't matter. Watch anyway. It'll give you an idea of what you've got to look forward to as your shop grows, your knowledge grows, and your skill set grows. It's going to be fun. Join us on the 30th for episode 1 of that series. So as always, guys, appreciate your time today. Couldn't be more thankful for all of your support, and we will catch you guys on YouTube.